But look, I'm wearing my Black Flag Media shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to get the thumbnail, and it just wasn't doing it for me to have a nice thumbnail. But anyway, I'll figure that out at another time. So here we are, Black Flag Media, back in the studio, and we're just.
I'm just going to share it.
Okay, yeah, Derek's going to share it to his Facebook.
Yes, I can copy that.
And there we are. Look at this. Oh, that's pretty cool.
This one is sort of.
Yeah, no rush.
Turn the volume down. So
Yeah. And then, yeah, we can maybe, we can get some questions or talk, anybody has thoughts. I'm also wearing my inauguration 2025 hat that I bought in Washington, D.C., as some of you know. Hi, Mark Taylor. It's always great to see you on here. You're like one of the mainstays on this channel. Yeah, sorry I didn't get a good thumbnail for some reason. Hey, Carrie, Starcap. Carrie from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so share
I'm
that.
distracted because I'm just putting
Yeah,
it on one of the.
we're just like, bear with us for a
Sharing
minute.
it out on
No
some
rush.
of the pages. There we go. So it's done.
So can we see it on?
Yeah.
Can I see the live? Because if we get questions or anything, like I can see them a little bit, but
Sure.
it's sort of
So
nice
leave that muted so we
Yeah,
don't hear ourselves
okay.
speak. Yeah, there you go.
Hang on, I get something to put that on. Just talk with the people.
So we just want to talk about
Do
this week, which really is going to be dominated by
That might help. Look
it's
at
Donald
us.
Trump's first week and
Oh,
everything
shit.
that happened, or is going to happen.
Yeah, what's happened so far. So as many of you may know already, but we'll let you know those that don't. It's funny because it's lagging different times.
Yeah, just
And
a-
that Derek and I think there was maybe 18 to 20 of us that went
22 in total.
22? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we had, thank you very much, Carolyn and Brian, that organized a lot of that and the housing. And we had 2 kind of townhouses that we split up and stayed in. And so the 22 of us, it was kind of cool because we did convoy down, but not really. Oh, where's my teeth? Oh, there.
Yeah, well, there was a.
But it was funny because I went with Clayton and we picked up Dennis and we got to Dennis's and Brian and that bunch were there and David Speaker and they were there. Then we took off and then there was the other cars like you guys and somehow without, I don't know, we weren't kind of talking to anybody. We landed in the same place pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, there wasn't that much of a delay. We were a little bit delayed going
Yeah.
through the border.
It was pretty funny.
But
Yeah.
but we all ended up.
Just getting my tea, everybody.
We all ended up catching up with each other.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, before we get too into it, so I have my tea cup or my mug here I won at the Larry Brock New Year's levy, and I'll tell you this story. But Derek's got a coffee here, and look, a Trump mug, and it's mine. And I'm letting him use. But when we were down there, I came down in the morning there, everybody's there in the living room, and I see Derek drinking his coffee out of my mug. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
My
there,
brand
so
new Trump mug. Who gave you permission to use that? So I think kindly let him use it today. So there we are. So we went down, 22 of us, and we did our things kind of together and separately. And
Well, yeah, we wanted to get
hi, Lynn. Hi,
full.
Nancy.
We wanted to get full coverage of everything, right? So,
Yeah.
So splitting up was kind of the way to do it.
Yeah. I was disappointed that it was not outside, which means there wasn't that big crowd of people on the mall, and that's what I was expecting. I thought, oh man, this is going to be exciting, and there was very few people out on the street, really. Yes, it was cold, but not really.
No, I think that was all based on security threats.
I think so.
Pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, it was so fenced up, eh?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about those fences?
Yeah, so the way Trump moves, wherever he goes, he'll occupy one road. And on either side of the road has to be a concrete barrier with fence over top of it. That's how they move. And then as he goes through one area, the door is locked behind him so no cars can follow behind. So that's how it was set up. But when you go through Washington, they had fencing partially done here, done there. So they probably didn't know exactly when and what lane he was going to take, probably right up to the
Yeah, the
event.
last minute. Yeah.
So and then they had a lot of heavy
Heavy equipment. What were
heavy
those
equipment.
things I said? Oh, they look like little mini tanks.
Yeah, well, they're Humvees.
Humvees?
Humvees.
Humvees.
Humvees,
Okay,
right.
they look like little mini tanks,
Yeah.
and they had those quite a lot of those actually blocking streets. But I found it still really friendly and nice. I didn't feel like it was what I might have anticipated of, and both all times we've gone down, I kind of anticipated it's going to be like the American, like they're having, submachine guns or something like. It
No.
wasn't really like that.
No,
at
not
all.
at all.
It was
Not at
quite
all.
friendly and
Yeah.
easy to walk around, except for the fencing, and so they kept everything very much barricaded.
Yeah.
But whatever. When those Proud Boys, you were there when the Proud
I
Boys
was
came.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, like they came up the street, so they were
Yeah.
allowed to do that.
Yeah,
A
they
few
let 'em walk
others, the Chinese, the protesters against the CCP came up the road.
Yeah.
But I think I went down for a number of reasons. I was and still am supportive of the Trump administration, and like I've said many times, and I say this in for the Canadian perspective. If the Conservatives government get in, which is probably likely, you never know, but that doesn't mean that there are saviors or that we have to take our eyes off of it. We have to be vigilant. You can't just they're in and that's it, and everything they do is golden. It's not going to be that way. So Trump gets in and he signs a bunch of executive orders. I don't know exactly how many, but the ones I was pleased with, and I believe you agree.
Well, there were a lot, but I think he did 200. But
200? There was a lot.
You've got about 6 big ones.
Yeah, really a lot. But the fact that he took the U.S. out of the WHO,
Yes.
I was happy.
And
World Health Organization.
as well as the Paris Climate.
And out of the Paris Climate Accord, yes. The International Criminal Court, I'm happy that is gone, or they're out. And if the states are out, it means Canada can more easily follow, with the right.
Well, the other thing too is they may just fall themselves.
Yes.
Right, because the U.S. They're
Yeah.
going to get the U.S. dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
U.S. dollars supporting it.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of Trump's big things.
Yeah. So there was that right away that he pardoned the J6 people,
Yeah.
the January 6th people. I was pleased for that, and no doubt there's one or two in there that maybe was would have gotten some kind of charge of something, but
Well, here's the
was such
funny
a
thing.
mess.
With most cases, they've been sitting in there for 4 years without even a trial.
I know.
And a lot of them don't know where they were, so they would have had time served. Going back to the Proud Boys, their leader got it, Enrique.
Yeah, I saw that.
Enrique got it.
Yeah.
So he was pardoned. You listened to them. There were mental torture, a lot of torturing going on in there. Yeah. So, and the investigation was corrupted. That's why Biden pardoned most of them on that committee. So it was pure political. It was pure political prisoners and hostage. That's basically what that was.
Oh, okay, we got some Trump's address to the WEF from yesterday morning should concern a lot of people. Yeah, that's another thing altogether for sure. The WEF. I did listen to it. I really feel like I need to listen to it closer. What did you pick up from anything?
Okay, so there's 3 parts. Basically, he told them to go fuck themselves. Is number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, for our benefit, is he went on Canada again about becoming a state.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that first.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Do
Okay,
we
so-
want to get into that?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
just get
All right, we're gonna get into the whole
Get-
51st state
Yeah.
thing. Our opinions, our thoughts, feel free to have a comment, but I'm just gonna sit back and relax and, all right, let's talk about the 51st state.
So, for obvious we don't want to be.
We don't,
No, we don't want to be a state.
I'll speak for
all
me,
of us,
and I know
all
your
of us
opinion.
that went down there,
other than Derek. Hi, Freedom Lynn.
we obviously went. We got to. Trump did say he was going to focus on the globalist agenda, and he attacked the globalist agenda. So, what is Canada? What is Canada, right? Now you could go down the line of maybe we're not maybe we are part of the States. You can watch that. Canada is an illusion that's out there. Follow that paperwork. Where did Confederation come from? What have you? But one thing that's logical is we do have a history, and that history is different than the States. So you got to respect that. But Justin has killed this country. I mean, we are in
Justin
bad,
has killed this country, and I
bad,
quite honestly
bad
believe
shape.
that that's his agenda attached
I
to kill
think
this country.
definitely. I think
You have to
he-
kill
Yeah.
what's the word I keep missing? Nationality. It's not that word, but being a nationalist.
Oh yeah. Well,
you have to kill that.
Well, that's
To
what
be a globalist, you have to kill
Sure,
that.
he wanted us to be the post-national state. He
Yeah.
said that right away.
Yeah.
But let's. I'll put myself as the state. So, you look at Canada. So, we're not contributing to NORAD. We're not contributing to NATO. Not enough at all. So the U.S. has to defend our Arctic. We've militarily pulled out of the Arctic. So the U.S. are doing that. Now, we've had drug busts and things like that. And Canada and Justin came on the other day saying, "Oh, we're less than 1% of the fentanyl going into the States." Well, you're basing that 1% on what you caught. You don't know what's going on. So there is intelligence. And the other thing too is if you go back 6 months, there's a lot of reports that the FBI and the DOJ and just general police forces in the States were getting frustrated with Canada not responding. Right? So there's that. Marco Rubio brought up that we're letting 5,000 Gazans in without really screening them.
Yeah.
We've got migrations just keep coming in. We don't know these people. So I'm on the States, and he's making, I know what he says. We're a bad neighbor. Plain and
We
simple.
are a bad neighbor.
We are a bad neighbor, and
We are a bad home. We're
Yeah.
living in a bad home. You and I and
Yeah.
all the rest of Canadians are
Yeah.
in a bad
We're in a
home.
bad home.
In a bad, like the dad,
Yeah.
being bad. We're
So,
in a bad relationship here.
We're in a bad relationship now.
Yeah,
Now the whole thing with the tariffs is Trump basically said clean up your border.
yeah.
Okay. Now Justin announces that we've got 2 Black Hawk helicopters. Whoop-de-doo. But that money that he spent, Parliament's not even open, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's the other problem. Now, the ones that
Get this back to them.
the ones that go, they're you're traitors or stand on your knees, bend your knees for the Americans. So I don't know if people watch my live, but
That's
I was
okay.
saying, if you watch my lives over the last year, I always say, what's everyone doing? Because there's a lot of countries that want Canada. There's a lot of people that want Canada other than us, and most of them that say that, they're basically behind their computer screen, and they haven't done anything, and it's easy for them to criticize. But why don't they, join Team Trudeau? And then who knows? Maybe 4 years ago, the migration rates are coming in, so they're outbirthing us 5-1. So maybe in 5 years, you can hang on, you can stay there in Canada. Perhaps they might end up working for migrants instead in 5 years. So that's them. But this whole tariff thing. Now, if I'm the leader of the country and Trump goes that, I'm calling Trump every single day. Okay, what are we going to do to avoid these tariffs? I'm calling him every single day.
Yeah.
Now, these guys aren't.
No.
And they're not because they want the
They
tariffs.
want the tariffs.
And it's
They
at-
want the
and-
trade war. They
and-
want to
that's
destroy
right.
the country.
And it's
They
at
do.
our expense because the
Yeah.
liberals won't have to campaign against Poilievre. They can campaign
Against Trump.
against Trump. And the fat man here in Toronto, in Ontario, Ford, so he's called an election because he doesn't want an election after all these job losses have come in. So he's going to talk tough. He says, "Oh, you got to vote for me now so I can go in and talk tough on these tariffs." So he's using it to keep power. So they don't give a shit about us.
No.
They don't give a shit about us. The Americans really don't kind of give a shit about us either. So we're in fighting ourselves here. So
Yeah.
that's
like
where
you say,
it comes down
if,
to.
if Trump if you had been Justin, or if I had been, or many of you had been, in Alberta. Okay, I'm going to read that in a second. If Trump had said, by the time I'm sworn in, there's going to be tariffs on on your country.
Mhm.
And you're not calling him every day, like he's our neighbor, our
Yeah.
ally, we trade with them. Why would you, this isn't a warring faction here.
No.
Why would you not be calling Trump and say, hey, what you've asked for, first of all, is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
You've asked for the border to be secured. We don't want your terrorists coming through. We don't want what you're allowing people to come into your country. That's your business.
Mm-hmm.
You want terrorists and Gazans and whoever you want in there. That's your business. But they cannot come across our border. You need to tighten that up. And we don't want fentanyl in our country. You need to get rid of that, et cetera, et cetera. You do that, we'll be okay. Whatever. But does Trudeau and the Team Canada do that? No. They don't phone them up and say, yeah, what you're asking for is reasonable and right, the right thing to ask for. Why do we as a country, and the US or any country, the UK, any of them, Germany, why do we want terrorists and a drug problem?
Yeah.
We shouldn't want that. But for some reason, some of these politicians and these people want that.
Yeah. And their economy is 100 times bigger than ours. There's absolutely no way we can do any sort of dent in it.
Yeah.
And really and it's because these politicians want those tariffs to come in place. So where does that leave us? I mean, if he puts those tariffs in place, basically on Monday, our dollar will fall. Our dollar will fall really dramatically. It not all at once, but it'll go down. It'll go down because we won't have any buying power. Canada won't be a place to invest. All of those considerations come in, and the dollar loses its value. So we ourselves will not be able to buy as much because our dollar is not worth as much. Now, you got to look at some companies here in Canada. What's their mix between what portion of their sales is the U.S.? Well, if you take Hamilton, for example, those steel makers said probably around 70% of what that steel they make goes on a ship or goes on a rail, goes down to the States. Now, are they going to retain all of that business, or are they going to start buying out of Pittsburgh, for example? They're buying from Canada because of the dollar. The dollar is 30 cents. So you'll probably see huge job losses. Maybe not quietly initially, but you'll have job losses into the 100,000s. And there is some companies that solely ship to the U.S. And there's some that survive. 10% is of their sales is the U.S. market, somewhere 20%. Even all of that will affect them all. So you'll have a drag. But aside from the job losses will come in not rapidly, but the thing that would hit right away would be the declining dollar, because what will happen is the markets will say, oh, he put those tariffs on Canada. That's not a good place to invest because we can't go to Canada and ship into the States because it won't cost much. So the dollar will the decline will happen
economically.
Yeah. Well, that's why he says,
us.
well, if they don't, it's pure economics.
So Brett, I don't know you, but hi, Brett's has a question that I think would be good for you. Is first of all, he did say he was at the border blockade in Alberta. Thanks, man.
Peace.
And during the Freedom Convoy, and also have protested my MP's office. I'm wondering who your MP is, if you wouldn't mind, putting that up. I'll come out from behind the keyboard. Good for you. But this is the question, or the comment with a question. If the U.S. wants their own border more secured, how about they close some of the 800 plus military bases around the globe, bring the troops home, and station them along their own borders?
Well,
what do you think on that? First of all, I think we need, we collectively as a world, we do need U.S. Troops to be stationed around the world. That's their military power.
Well, that's what they. Okay, so he has put Marines on the Mexican.
He has put them on the southern border,
which may mean he could put them there.
Yeah.
He is pulling troops out of some areas.
Oh, John Barlow. Okay.
Yeah, he is pulling some troops out of certain areas, especially in the Middle East and Africa. But the U.S. will always hold an international presence. There's no way they're going to move troops back. But I will say one thing. And you have to listen to how Trump talks. He mentioned Greenland and he mentioned the Panama Canal. And a lot of people go crazy about it. But the US, going back to early 1900s, they have what's called the Monroe Doctrine. And the Monroe Doctrine, loosely basis, is the US is going to defend themselves, but to defend themselves, they have to look at the whole Western Hemisphere. So if there's a threat in the Western Hemisphere that could come to the US has the right to go and defend itself. So what's happened with the Panama Canal, and the US made the Panama Canal, and then they gave it back to Panama. But really what the Panama Canal is it's right between South America and Central America and then North America. What it's designed is ships coming out of Asia don't have to go all the way around South America and then back up. They go through the Panama Canal and then vice versa. Now the Chinese, so what the Chinese have done, especially with third world countries, especially in Africa for cobalt and Cameroon and Kenya and in Panama and in Central America, what they do is the Chinese have come in where it is strategically placed and they can own the Panama Canal. So they go to Panama. Panama's poor. They're just above third world status. They will give you huge billions of dollars as a loan, interest free, for you to build things. But then, we're going to come and put our companies in. And that's how they did it. And then they're basically running the Panama Canal by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Greenland, and I put this on my page, everyone says, well, why does he want Greenland? Why does he want Greenland? He wants it for the resources. Maybe, not so much. You know what he needs that for? He needs that for a naval base, especially for submarines. Because what happens is the Russians and the Chinese, especially with the Navy, they're far more advanced than the US and the Navy, especially their submarines. So they need to build a base there because they're not picking up Russian and Chinese subs in the Arctic. So they need that strategically to go. Now Canada, and I mentioned this before, we're not defending the Arctic.
Yeah, this is what my point was going to be.
And
We've got the whole Arctic and we're not defending it.
In fact,
and that could be, if we were to be smart and start building like fast pace, safely, of course, but pipeline. So we can have a northern pipeline and that can get to Asia and sell to Germany and Japan and all those that want it. We can have a southern pipeline. We don't even have to, we can keep the one in the States. That's not a problem, but have a pipeline. But if we can get our Arctic defended, that gives us a lot of power as a nation. Do you not think?
Yeah, well, we don't have the equipment. We don't have the manpower.
No, we don't.
Do it. Yeah.
But if we at least started to do that.
Well, yeah, we have to.
And showed the world, hey, we've got the Arctic, we are going to defend it. And maybe we defend it alongside, we invite the Americans to help us to defend it, but it's still ours. I mean, there's lots of possibilities. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like these clowns are even talking about stuff. They're busy having a retreat and, I don't know what they're talking about, playing cards and maple syrup and bourbon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. The problem is they don't grasp.
They don't seem to.
Or they don't have the knowledge of everything
know.
that's really happening, which is sad.
But we have, Ken, this is, going back to being the 51st state. Canada definitely has its own, not just strength in itself, but we do have these natural resources. We do have a whole lot of oil and good oil. And, and Venezuela is like one of the top oil producers. Why wouldn't you want to be buying it from Canada? All these countries, but we're not selling it. Why are we not selling it? Because Trudeau wants us destroyed. Why are we not protecting the Arctic?
Yeah.
Those are things that can be done.
Of course.
And we could say, okay, America, we get it. So we could do this together. Like kind of how Kevin O'Leary's kind of bringing it forward. I wouldn't necessarily go with his plan, but we can do things collectively, but still hold our own national not just identity, but our own nation. There are probably a million things that could be talked of and said, okay, we could do things. But going back to that 51st state thing, as far as, and this kind of comes into it, is no, I don't want to be the first 51st state. I am Canadian born here. I do I am a proud Canadian. All of that sort of national pride I do have. But I also believe that it's very important that we retain these two distinct um, geographical and national positions. So, for example, like the states just got out of a horrible time with Biden and Harris and all that. They could have fallen into the abyss, and where would they? There would be no refuge for them except for hopefully get another election. But Canada, not that I say
Oh yeah,
refuge in them coming to us, but as a Western world, we can hold that, or Germany can hold that, or UK can hold it. All the Western world have to hold on to not only their own personal identity as a country, but hold on to the Western values. And if we just go, okay, well, I'll just join, that means we can either all be good and big, which would be fine maybe, but we could all also fall into the abyss.
sure.
So
Well, that's
that's
what's really
my
under
point.
attack is Western civilization. That's what's under attack.
Okay, what are you saying, Brett? Brett says, now, if people want cheaper oil and gas, lift sanctions on Venezuela, Iran, and Russia, and let them get their own oil to market in simple supply and demand. If you want cheaper oil and gas, lift sanctions. Okay, so does Canada have sanctions on Iran and,
No,
or
but
is she talking about it?
the U.S. does.
Oh, okay.
Canada won't buy from Venezuela either. We're basically buying from Venezuela, but Russia and Iran is basically black market oil when it gets out there because they put so many sanctions on it where it ends up going. But the U.S. is basically what he's saying is the U.S. is just going to open up his oil wells. He wants to be independent. Actually.
Yeah, and so you should.
Yeah, he's not even thinking of doing that. So when it comes to Canada, we actually ship our oil down to the States. It gets refined and then it comes back up here for fuel. So that's basically what happens. And then Trudeau's limiting what Alberta can ship. And then what we come in from Saudi Arabia gets refined on the East Coast. So I mean, he's
definitely destroyed this country, and we got to get rid of him. Like, that's number one. I don't want to get too much. I don't even think I want to get too, because we're talking a lot here, and
we can end up in the weeds, but we can.
well, not so much in the weeds, but we'll just be here for hours and hours. But we've got to get these guys out, and so we have to make sure we get these liberal NDPs out and gone. Delist it. They've got to go. Basically, they've been treasonous. Sorry, I don't know if that will get me in trouble. Not by the public, but defamation or something. But they've behaved in a treasonous manner, and they've got to go. Now, as I say, we in Canada supply 60% of the U.S. petroleum. Yeah, right now. This is the point right now, and I don't say get in a trade war with them. Sorry, Brett just brought the oil thing up again. Is if we build our pipelines, then we can secure that oil, and not just to hold Canada against U.S. like a tariff or a trade war, but that we're safe, we're secure, and if something strange goes on in the U.S., at least there's some Western oil.
Yeah. Well, see, the Keystone Pipeline, that was privately funded. That was going through the Trudeau
like 17, like it was like next to nothing.
Yeah, but Trudeau canceled it because he didn't want it privately owned, and then we bought it back.
Yeah, 35 million.
35 million. Yeah. Now, the other pipeline that was supposed to go was right through Canada.
Yeah.
But it gets to Quebec. Quebec says, I'm not having that run through here.
Go back. Right? What do you think?
It goes into BC. Oh, I don't want that running through here.
Yeah.
So they're putting it on tankers and they're rushing it, to the BC ports on tankers all over the rail, which is even less safe. But it's all political wise, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in Alberta, look what Daniel Smith says. So you're threatening the U.S. with what we produce. So you want to ruin mine. Yeah. Right. And it is in Confederation. The resources are the provinces.
Right. That's the way it is.
So she's right. Mm-hmm. So what is Trudeau? Trudeau's basically pushing her into the States, and it will happen. There's no question she's trying to negotiate her own deal with the States with Alberta,
and that would be the smart thing to do. I would be doing that if I were her.
No question about it. That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of Albertans are ready to separate.
You talk about Trudeau wanting to destroy this. Is he really? Is he really doing it? Is he really doing this to push a unity thing? Is he really going to go all that way?
Well, we kind of, I think, know.
But
he
That's-
wants unity to destroy this
That's where it's
this
coming
country.
from, right?
And he's, putting, saying Danielle Smith's ruining everything
Yeah.
because she's holding on to the oil and stuff. Well, that's her right. First of all, that's how it is in Canada. Just like the states have their own, the states have their thing and it's not federal, it's just by the states. The federal government just can't come in and tell the states, certain states what to do and all of that. And, we have a similar thing. And so the resources are provincial.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't Daniel Smith protect it? And thank God she is. Because, if they do separate or they do go in with the states, well, guess what? The rest of Canada, what are we going to do? Because there's besides Alberta, where's their oil? Maybe a little bit here and there, but we'd have to deal with it would be a mess.
Mhm.
So I don't know why, except I kind of, I say that I don't know why, but I believe that Trudeau and whoever, they're just trying to destroy this country, just like they are in UK and France, and there's this faction that's trying to destroy
Well,
the
they have
countries, the globalists.
two World Economic Forum ones coming right in behind them. Take your choice, Friedland
know,
or
right?
Carney. So,
Well, it'll probably be Carney. That's mine. But, I think it was David Creighton. Hey, David, if you're listening, you brought up a good point. And I thought this for quite a bit. I don't know all the details of it. But if for example, I actually never really thought Trudeau, he says, I intend to resign. I think he wants to run in the next one. And so how could he do that? And so David Creighton brought it up in his, is from the town. Okay, Brett says saying this. Danielle Smith is from the town I live in. I've met her. She's not as she appears and is made out to be. It was because of her the NDP won the election here a few years back.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
he's true about that because it ended up splitting the votes and the NDP got in. So I agree with him on that.
yeah. Well, this is, politics is such a freaking horrible game. But anyway, I can't really get into that myself because I don't know her, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that she is what she says she is. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so David Creighton saying, so if the JCCF, who representing the two people, saying that prorogation is unlawful,
Mhm.
and they get their way, and the courts agree, we could possibly be looking at Parliament going back sometime. I think David gave a date of February 16th. It's a possible one of the things that could happen if this prorogation is said by by courts. No, you can't have that. It means they have to go back into Parliament.
Mhm.
Then we're looking at things a slightly different way.
Sure.
Whatever that way.
We have the
would be.
tariffs in. No matter what it comes down to, is we don't have a functioning government right now. The government is not functioning.
Yeah.
We're borderline banana republic at this point. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you might be concerned about Daniel Smith, but we're in Ontario. What do you think we've got?
Oh, we got a worst case. This guy's a maniac.
Doug Ford, aka Justin's mini-me. I don't
Yeah.
know. Fat me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's insane. And so now Doug Ford will be calling election.
Yes.
He's put it out there, but he says he's going to officially call it this coming Wednesday. Okay. So whatever date that
For the 27th would be
the 27th of February. And so now, and that's like a snap election, just like Trudeau did in 2021. Oh, we've got a problem here.
Mhm.
We need power. Okay, you already have it, first of all, Doug Ford. So I'll have a snap election there. If I win, which I probably will, I'll have more years. So he calls this snap election. Then what? We've got, we don't have a choice in a lot of way. We've got a couple of Ontario parties, and we could go New Blue in Ontario and whatever.
Yeah, well, that's
what
not
are we
gonna
supposed to
work.
vote for?
Yeah, I know. And then
We're up against the wall.
you got two real left. You got a real leftist in Merritt Stiles, and then you got a leftist in Bonnie Crombie. Or you have to take the fat man.
Fat man.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
For the
we,
fat quack.
or we go with one of the others, like the New Blue or the Ontario.
Yeah. Well, I will, but I don't
Will
know
you?
if they assemble enough.
Yeah,
They can't. We can't have two, like they did last year.
No.
There's no way. No.
so I don't know what, like the New Blue seems to be, showing their face now, and like, okay, we've got an election, let's get on it. Let's get, some candidates. Maybe you wanna be a candidate?
Too busy.
Too busy, too busy over here.
Let me look at it. Bigger problems first. And
Yeah,
then we'll
way
work
too
our way
busy.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
want for any of it. I just kind of I just really want to, get our world back a little bit to sanity, and then, just go back to having a life. I thought that might have happened a year or two ago, but it's not even close. Um, and there's so much that we need to talk about collectively, and the Fauci thing, the not only did he get pardoned, he got his security detail. Don't tell a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
He's good. Trump removed his
His-
government security detail,
Yeah.
so who knows what's
He'll
going
have to get his own.
Yeah. I think it was Russia was trying to see if they could extricate him into Russia and try him for crimes against
It's
humanity.
humanity, yeah.
Go Russia.
Yeah.
You know
In
what else
exchange
I
for any
saw,
of the Ukraine
speaking
war.
of Russia, is that Putin's said that if Trump had, well, no, he said if the election hadn't been stolen from Trump, there would have never been a Ukraine Russia war.
Yeah.
He's come out
Yeah,
and said
Trump
that.
Yeah. That was
Apparently,
yesterday.
yeah, pretty wicked.
Mhm.
And if Trump and Putin can kind of like, okay, let's figure this out, man. I don't have a problem with that. And I think like every nation, again, like Russia wants to be Russian.
Yeah.
Canadians, we want to be Canadian. And I say that doesn't mean I'm like racist or I don't want to have immigrants or anything, but we got to start getting smarter about who we do bring in. And if they can't assimilate, and that's been obvious, they can't. Even though some of the
Well, they can. I mean, you've got some running around declaring some parts of Canada Palestine.
yeah.
So, why those guys that say that we're traitors? Why don't you guys run off because they're out your way, Wayne? You can go out and deal with them. Why don't you go do that?
Well, you're living right in the middle of those
Oh,
wars.
of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's from Brampton.
Yeah.
My God, that place is a
So,
gang warfare there.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I mean, some of the immigrants say sometimes I'll take Ubers and talk to fairly new immigrants, some of them, but not all of them. They may have been here for 20 years and raised their family here. And I asked them, so what do you think of Canada's immigration situation? And they're like, oh my God, it's horrible.
Yeah.
They don't want them in here either.
No, because we had standards at one point in
Yeah,
time. There's no standards.
Yeah. So all of that definitely has to be cleaned up.
You got the
And-
cartels, the Mexican cartels are partnering with certain gangs here, if not here themselves, but they're
What did you
partnering.
think of that with Trump? One of the things he wrote was the cartels were, I don't know exact words, but they will be basically deemed terrorists. or
National security threat,
national security.
which means he
He can go in and,
can send some special operations in there and wipe them out.
what do you think of that?
He probably will.
Yeah, you think that was a good idea?
Yeah, I think he will.
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
think so too.
I think he will.
I think every country's got to clean up their own mess.
Yeah.
They do. And I said when we were down in the States and, the Americans, and, they're high on the hog. I mean, they kind of are anyway. Sorry, American friends. But, they were high on the hog. They just won this election. They were pretty pleased. But I was saying to a few of them, don't forget, you guys have to clean up your mess. Fauci's yours. You got to get him. You got to get him in prison or whatever. He's not ours. We can't do that. You've got Bill Gates. There's another thing. Like, what the hell's going on there? Bill Gates has a big meeting with Trump. Next thing you know, we got mRNA things going on.
I know. Well, that was going to come anyway, but I meant we got to fight our battles.
Yeah.
Don't take the shots.
Yeah, don't take the shots. That's it.
And resist.
Resist. Yeah, that's
Resist.
a good point.
And just keep thinking
They can
sovereignty.
do whatever they're going to do, but just keep resisting.
Yeah, we can whine and complain, but unless we have a large force, it's not going to happen. So, just resist.
Just keep resisting.
We'll have
And that's
to
why,
take it.
it is still important Brett, you were saying, you get off the keyboard, and I actually think, like, here, this is keyboard, really. We're not out on the street, but, keyboard warrioring is important. You need to support what online, on X, on whatever social media, and support what you believe is right. So they see numbers. Because if we go out in the street, there's 5 of us, or there's 50 of, even if there's 12,000. If you've got numbers on all, out on the street and online, they can see, wow,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that's what I mean. I mean,
the,
we
the
got we
people
got
are
to
speaking.
yeah, we got to start having mini rallies now, continually. Like I said before, many lives. I mean, there's no stopping for people protesting in front of a constituency office,
Yeah,
or go in front of city hall, or go in front of the provincial legislatures.
right. So
But we're gonna have to be ready to move, because if we get hit this, the economy's really gonna go in the tank.
yeah,
I mean, we're in for some really
I don't know what the
questionable days
Canadian
ahead.
business people must be freaking out.
Oh, they're freaking out every day. I go out. I'm talking to them all the time, and no company's spending any money on capital right now,
Everybody's just waiting.
waiting to see what's gonna happen.
Well,
Well, see, the other thing too is you have some companies that they had offices in the States. They've opened up an office in Canada, right? Whether it's for labor, for the dollar, those will probably close up. We don't know what's going to happen with the auto market. Obviously, what Trump wants to do is he wants to push all those auto manufacturers out of Ontario back into Detroit.
and wouldn't you, if you were
Yeah,
Trump? Of
of
course, that's
course.
what Polyeva's saying. Like, if,
Yeah.
of course, he wants America first, and I want Canada first.
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to try and take business
So-
out of wherever.
What-
Of course, he is.
We're being screwed because, like, I go back to the first thing. If I was in a business deal, this was happening, I'm calling the guy every day. I'm
Yeah.
having a meeting every day, and I'm not.
I'd be marching up and down the
Yeah.
border myself.
Yeah, and I'm not
Come on.
throwing gas onto the fire like these morons are doing, right? So it's evident that they want, or they want this to happen. Because I'd be happy. You'd send your ambassador in there every day. You'd send, you break up, but you're calling this guy every day and say, hey, Donald, cool the temperature down.
Yeah.
What do you want? Let's talk
Yeah.
rationally here.
Yeah,
Let's do something. But no, they're, they want it.
yeah.
So,
This is the thing that's,
Yeah.
Trudeau does want a trade war.
Yeah.
And then, whatever.
because here's the campaign, whether it's Freeland, whether it's this, oh, Polyev, you're MAGA, you're Donald Trump, we're Canada, we need you, we're fighting Donald Trump. He took away all your jobs, but we're fighting this fight. That's what they want. They don't want to talk about, oh, there's $3 billion missing from the Green Slush Fund.
Yeah.
There's Chinese interference here. Countless crimes that
Yeah.
these liberals have done. Countless crimes. Oh, they don't want the election. They're going to take away that election. And then these two bulls have already said, oh, well, I'm going to cancel the carbon tax. So
Yeah.
that's where it's going.
Yeah.
That's where it's going. So
Yeah, I've said, I've been kind of putting it out there that this next election coming up, I mean, there's lots of issues, but I think it needs to be an anti-corruption election.
anything. Yeah.
So Polyev or any of them stand up and say, we're against corruption here.
Mhm.
No to tyranny. And if they've got people that are going to fall, then let them fall. I don't know, but we can't continue in any country, but we certainly can't continue in Canada this way, where we're being governed by corrupt tyrants. This is where we're at. So, we the people we have to get on force. We just have to do something. And I don't know, we've been trying to do stuff for 3-4 years, and I think we've done a lot, and it has made a dent. I mean,
Doesn't admit, yeah.
it's been productive in a lot of ways, but we're now into the next phase here. So we got to figure out
Well,
what
we
we're
got to
going
keep
to do.
we got to keep getting out. There's no question.
Yeah,
Keep hitting the field.
yeah.
Keep
So
hitting the boots on the ground. Keep going out.
if those that write letters keep writing the letters, and those that protest on out there keep doing it, I don't want Canada fall. Not even the fact of like, oh, it gets absorbed by the U.S. I don't want that. I don't want the Liberal Party and whoever, the globalists, to take over this country. I
Mhm.
don't. And I'll fight as best I can.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of us out there. We just don't necessarily know each other, and we don't necessarily, stand as much, uh, you know, collectively. I mean, Ottawa, the convoy, the Ottawa was the biggest thing, but now we've got political prisoners, and
Yeah.
it's a scary thing. So I don't know. I don't want to end this with, oh, I don't know, but
Well, we can end it by optimistically saying
yeah,
it's happening, and if you're inactive, you're going to be left behind. If you're active, you're going to be a part of it. So there we go.
yeah.
That's positive. So
I'm glad we went down. I was kind of
Mhm.
like I had intended to, and then I waffled and sort of I was a last minute joiner, but I'm very glad I went down. I believe that it was important to represent Canada
Mhm.
in a good way,
Yeah.
and I think all generally speaking, I think we collectively, some people were there and some were here. I think we did. Hopefully we represented ourselves well as Canadians, and it was a huge part of history, and it's like drivable,
Yeah.
like it's not like it's the other side of the world. So to go there and be participating in such a huge part of our history of the world, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So I was pleased.
I was pleased I made some new contacts down there. We had a lot of press, actually.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
that helps.
Yeah, very, very cool. So anybody got anything else to say before we sign off? Ontario, good luck to
Mhm.
all of us. We have this election coming up sooner than we expected. Doug wants a mandate from the people. Well, you have sorry, Doug, as much as you're an idiot, you have a majority.
Yeah.
So do
Sorry.
what you're going to do.
Do what
If
you're
you
gonna
want something, how about a referendum? How about a poll?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be an election? Because then he can have his.
Yeah. He doesn't want to go into election after all the job losses he's caused.
So
yeah.
So he
I
probably
said that
phone
before.
up Trudeau. Hey,
Mhm.
so what do I do? Call an election, man. It worked for me.
It will.
You
Next
know?
week, busy week though.
Oh yeah.
Probably
okay.
4
Busy week.
days. 4 days next week. I'll be talking to a tyrant.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So
Doug Ford.
Doug Ford's one of them.
Yeah.
It's going to be a busy week next week.
Busy week. So keep your ears
Watch
and
my
eyes
lives.
open. Watch Derek's lives. I don't know if I'll be on any of those, but you're out there doing your tyrant patrolling, and that's awesome. Yeah, just keep on. And even we're talking about Daniel Smith, Brett, and even those that maybe you don't like or maybe you do like, that doesn't mean you like every single thing, and you still have to hold them to account.
Yeah.
So just keep speaking what you think is right.
Yeah, exactly.
And say, like, whatever MP, like, I don't agree with lots of the stuff. I don't think we should be sending money to Ukraine and like a whole bunch of stuff. I don't think.
Yeah.
But here we are.
In the long goal, we need a constitutional republic, and we need some sovereignty. But that doesn't come.
It doesn't
Right.
come fast, and it doesn't come easy.
No.
And it's not, that would take any changes. People are always like, we need a change. Well, we probably do, but it's not going to be right now.
No.
We're in such a chaos. We can't possibly do that, and it's going to take a lot of heads together and like, well, what is that, and how do we do that, and where's that going to go? If there's going to be major system changes. So right now we use this, the system we have, know it and use it to your best.
Yeah.
And we don't have a whole lot of choice,
No.
but we still have the right to protest.
Yeah.
So let's
keep
keep
doing
doing that. All right, is that it?
That's it. That's pretty good.
Peace, everybody. Freedom. Yeah. Nice. Thanks for everybody joining, and anybody who's watching this later, share it out. Yeah, just keep on having your voice heard, whether it's out in the street or online, both actually. So let's get rid of these corrupt, thieving.
They're criminals. They're
Criminals.
just criminals.
They're criminals. Let's
They're
get
just
rid of them.
criminals.
Adios, amigos. Okay, signing off. Gotta wait.
I think that